The day my son called me an embarrassment, asterisk was the day I decided to stop apologizing for everything I built. He said it casually, at dinner, asterisk, right before walking out the door to meet his friends, asterisk. Mom, could you not come to the interview tomorrow? You'll just make it awkward. I froze mid-sip of my tea. My own son, asterisk the same boy I once walked to kindergarten, holding his hand across busy streets, was now embarrassed to be seen with me. What he didn't know, asterisk, was that the company he was interviewing for was mine. Welcome to my channel. I share new life stories here every day, and I really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and like my video. Now, let's jump back into my story. I'm sure you'll love it if you keep listening till the end. My name is Linda Carter, 56 years self-made. I started my company, Carter and Wells Consulting, from a secondhand desk in my garage. Asterisk back then. I didn't have investors, mentors, or even confidence. Asterisk, I just had bills and a 10-year-old son who needed school lunches and a warm home. Asterisk, when my husband passed away, everyone said, asterisk, she crumble. Asterisk, she's not strong enough. Asterisk, so one didn't crumble, I built. One small business client turned into five into 50, asterisk, and within a decade, we were one of the most respected consulting firms on the East Coast. Asterisk, but success doesn't always build bridges. Asterisk, sometimes it builds distance. Asterisk, my son, Ethan, grew up watching me work late nights, take calls during holidays, and miss birthday cakes while chasing payroll deadlines. He used to draw pictures of me at my desk. Asterisk, with little speech bubbles saying, just 5 more minutes, sweetie. Asterisk, back then, he said he wanted to be just like me. Somewhere between childhood dreams and adult ego, he forgot that. Ethan graduated with a degree in business management from a good school. 2. I paid every cent of that tuition with pride, but he came back. Different, confident, yes, but also entitled. He thought my company was old-fashioned, my values outdated. Asterisk, my advice overbearing. Every dinner turned into a debate. Every suggestion sounded like a challenge to him. Asterisk, one night, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, asterisk, you wouldn't understand what it's like to start from nothing in today's world. I wanted to laugh, because that's all I ever did. Start from nothing. But I didn't laugh. I just nodded and said, asterisk, maybe you're right. Asterisk, the next week, he told me he had a big interview coming up, a dream company, a modern consulting firm. As he put it, asterisk, he said they had new ideas. Real innovation. I didn't say anything because I already knew he was interviewing for a position at Carter and Wells, my company. He had no idea. Asterisk, the morning of the interview, I woke up before sunrise. The city was quiet. The kind of stillness that comes before a storm. Asterisk, I stood in front of my mirror, tying my hair back into a bun, sliding on the same pearl earrings I wore when I signed my first $1 million contract. Downstairs, Ethan was pacing near the door, holding a leather portfolio and sipping coffee. He looked sharp, navy suit, polished shoes, that confident smirk he inherited from me. He glanced up and sighed. Mom, can you please not show up? It's a big deal. I don't need any distractions. I smiled. Oh, don't worry. Dear, I said, asterisk, I wouldn't dream of embarrassing you. He didn't notice the hint of amusement in my voice. He kissed my cheek, said, wish me luck, and laughed. I followed 30 minutes later, straight to the office where I was the founder, asterisk the owner, the CEO. The HR department had arranged the interviews in our new downtown branch. Asterisk, I asked them not to mention my attendance. They knew better than to question me. When I entered the conference room, I saw him through the glass, asterisk sitting across from our hiring manager. Full of charisma and confidence. Asterisk, he was explaining something, gesturing with his hands. Smiling. He looked proud. But as soon as the door opened and I stepped in, his smile vanished. Asterisk, his jaw tightened. Mom? The hiring manager stood immediately. Mrs. Carter. We weren't expecting you so early. Ethan blinked. Mrs. Carter? He repeated, confused. Asterisk, I smiled. Calm and composed. Asterisk. Yes, Mr. Carter, I said. Meeting his eyes. Asterisk, Mrs. Carter. As in the Carter from Carter and Wells. The room went silent. You could hear the clock ticking. He looked from me to the manager, then back at me. This is your company? He asked, his voice cracking slightly. Asterisk. It always was. I replied softly. Asterisk. He just never bothered to ask. Ethan looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. All that confidence gone. Asterisk. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered. I wanted to, I said. But every time I spoke, you rolled your eyes. Asterisk, you wanted to prove yourself, remember? Asterisk, you didn't want my help. You wanted my silence. He swallowed hard. The hiring manager, bless her, excused herself to get some water. It was just us now, mother and son. Boss and applicant. I sat across from him. Ethan. Let's start your interview, I said calmly. His face turned pale. Mom, please. Mrs. Carter. I corrected gently. Asterisk, let's be professional. He exhaled shakily and nodded. I asked him the same questions I ask every candidate. Asterisk, what does leadership mean to you? Asterisk, he said, inspiring others to follow your vision. Asterisk, I asked, and what if they don't? Asterisk, he hesitated. Then maybe your vision isn't strong enough. Asterisk, I smiled faintly. Or maybe they're too arrogant to see the value in it. He looked down. He understood the subtext. Asterisk by the end of the interview. His hands were trembling slightly. He thanked me politely and stood to leave. Before he reached the door, I said quietly, Asterisk, Ethan. He turned. Asterisk, I continued. You're not ready. Not for this company. Not yet. He froze. But this isn't punishment, I said. Asterisk, it's growth. The kind you can't get from pride. He nodded slowly, and for the first time in years, he didn't argue. Asterisk, he just said, I understand. 2 months passed. He didn't speak to me much, just polite texts here and there. I figured he needed time. Asterisk, not to forgive me, but to forgive himself. Then one morning, my assistant walked into my office holding a folder. Asterisk, Mrs. Carter, she said, we've got a new intern starting today, recommended by our senior HR team. I looked at the resume. Ethan Carter. I smiled. Approved. Asterisk that afternoon. He knocked on my office door. He looked different, humbled, but hopeful. Mrs. Carter, he said softly, I'm here to learn. I nodded. Then sit down, Mr. Carter. I replied. Asterisk, let's begin. He didn't call me Mom that day, and that was okay. Some lessons aren't meant to be comfortable. They're meant to be remembered. Asterisk, he started from the bottom. Asterisk, copying reports, shadowing consultants, sitting quietly during meetings, no special treatment, but I watched him grow. Asterisk. He stopped rushing. He listened more. He started asking the right questions. Not just the loud ones. Asterisk one evening after everyone left. He knocked on my door again. Mom, he said quietly. I looked up. Surprised. It had been months since he used that word. He walked in, carrying a small gift bag. Inside was a mug. It read, My mom, my mentor. Asterisk, he said. I didn't get it before. I thought you were too controlling, but you were just making sure I didn't lose myself. I smiled. Asterisk, no. Ethan, I was making sure you never lost your values. Asterisk, he nodded. Tears in his eyes. Asterisk then. For the first time in years, he hugged me, not out of obligation, but out of respect. A year later, he stood in that same interview room asterisk this time, not as an applicant asterisk, but as an assistant consultant, introducing new recruits. I watched from my office doorway. Proud. He looked over and smiled, asterisk the kind that says, I get it now, and I smiled back, because sometimes love doesn't mean shielding your children, asterisk. It means letting them face their own reflections, even when it hurts, asterisk. So if you're watching this asterisk and someone ever tells you you're too old, too embarrassing, or too much, remember, they might just be too small to see how big your shadow really is. Age isn't weakness. It's wisdom wrapped in patience, asterisk, and sometimes karma wears a pearl necklace and signs the paychecks. If this story touched you, asterisk, don't forget to share, and subscribe for more real life stories with poetic justice, asterisk, and tell me in the comments, asterisk, what would you have done if your own child called you an embarrassment?